Hello, my name is Adriana. Today we're going to look at an intuitive reading with the tarot cards. I am a master soul path teacher and guide. I use the tarot cards to illuminate inner wisdom and to channel the higher energies from the higher self and spirit guides that want to be around, that may be around wanting to help us. So this reading is intended to give you more clarity and perhaps a different perspective on your situation. I am asking for a specific energy to tap into, but do keep in mind that we would be able to go a bit deeper and more specific if we were one-on-one. And I do offer one-on-one readings, but I just want to offer that because sometimes when you're watching YouTube readings, it's really easy to get lost or carried away, to kind of too stuck in the material, and you really need to just filter it for yourself because you can't always ask the reader questions in the middle of the reading. Okay, that's a lot of talking. All right, let's get into your energy here. All right, looks like we're going to do middle four and then shuffle the deck again. Right, this is a modified Celtic cross spread that I'm doing. You probably can't see all of it because technicality with camera angles, but I'm going to see how much information we can get out of it for you. Okay, Knight of Earth is our situation, crossed with the Eight of Air as your challenge. Okay, so wow, some really big, it's like surrounded by the major arcana in front of me here. Let's see if I can pull this down. That sort of helps. Anyway, I'll hold it up to you as we're going through this. Okay, I think this is a really great start. Now, Knight of Earth is where we are. So this is not only the situation, but it's also you within the situation. I want to say you are holding on. You are holding on with every fiber of your being, and it's like you have your way of doing it, and at this moment you are not open to a different way. Knight of Earth to me is really, especially in this deck, kind of like a Taurus energy. Once I'm there, I'm not moving. Once I've made up my mind, it's very hard to change it. And although you are working very, very hard, you're putting a lot of energy into what you're doing, you're just not, you're not open to changing it. And I think that's getting in your way because we've got the Eight of Air. You recognize that you're kind of stuck and you feel like you're trapped by the situation. And you also feel like, now this is really strange. It's almost as if you kind of enjoy being stuck. Why would you enjoy being stuck? It's like you can see a way out. It's almost like you're pretending you don't know the answer when you really do. And I don't know if this is fear of change talking. You know, that's often what causes the Taurus stubbornness, is they just don't want to change because change means the unknown. But why is this a pleasurable thing to be stuck? Now, this is really strange. It's almost like you want to be seen as helpless. I don't know what that's doing to you, whether it's getting other people to react differently and maybe try to step up more, but there's kind of like a damsel in distress thing going on here where you're like, oh, save me, when all along you have the key. You know exactly how to get out of the castle, but you for some reason want everyone to believe you're locked in this castle. So you are not using your power in a way that is constructive for you, because there's nothing in the Eight of Air. Eight of Air is self-created, and it's serving you right now, but it's also not helping you right now. Okay, so what past events were impacting the situation? We've got the Ten of Fire there, and this is the feeling of being overburdened or overwhelmed, like you've got too much on your plate. So it kind of makes sense why you would want other people to help you out or to help you more, because in the past you really felt that you couldn't handle it, that it was just too much, and you're tired of working so hard, and you're tired of shouldering so much of the responsibility and so much of the burden. But the funny thing is, with the combination of the Knight of Earth and the Eight of Air, you're actually working harder. You're making this harder than it is, because it's like the more these spiders stay, the more they're weaving the threads around her, and the harder it is going to be to break out of this. And in the future, we have the High Priestess, and this is not always the easiest card to get. First of all, she's kind of hard to relate to because she represents a truth that we don't want to see and that we're kind of scared to see. The first time I went to a clairvoyant psychic, I was terrified because I thought he was going to be able to see right through me. And at the time, I had some secrets that I really didn't want anyone to look at. And it was just a scary thing. And that's what I feel like there's something like that going on here. But in the future, you're going to be forced, I don't like that word, but you're going to be forced to confront the truth. And the High Priestess is also that little voice inside of you that says, hey, this isn't right, or hey, we could be doing this a little differently. That's why I was saying before, you have the key. To me, the High Priestess is the key. Your inner self, and definitely your higher self, knows that this really isn't you. This isn't right for you. Now, the way you're approaching your situation in your conscious world, or in the way, it's almost like the way it's appearing to others, we have the Death card. So on some level, you're saying to the outside, yeah, I'm ready to change. I'm ready for a new door to open. I'm ready to try something different. But I don't really see that lining up with what's going on here. So why is there a disjunct there? Let me clarify the Death card. Five of Earth. Okay, this is almost like a Hanged Man energy where you're feeling like you don't have a choice but to surrender to what's going on. And that's that helplessness thing. Again, you're like, oh my God, well, okay, now something crazy or something awful is coming up, and I've just got to acquiesce to it almost, or I've just got to go along with it. The Five of Earth is the lack of empowerment. I don't really feel like I can do anything about this. Same kind of thing we were seeing in the Five of Air. You notice how the colors are really similar? It's like I can't do that. I can't get myself out. I can't take another step, and there's no one here to support me. That's the funny thing here, is that you truly believe there's no one here to support you, and I'm seeing something completely different on the other side of the cards. So let's look at how your subconscious feels about this. Your subconscious is the Magician, and this is all about using your superpower. And whether you're an earth sign or a fire sign, a water sign, or an air sign, that's all contained on this Magician card. And the Magician is saying you have not only the power to manifest whatever you want, but you need to use your power correctly in every situation. And that is also in line with your advice from the higher self, Strength card. And strength is all about using power appropriately, using it to help someone else, and in doing so, you're helping yourself. So I think maybe that's also something to keep in mind, that there's no such thing as an isolated person, or, no man is an island. We're all connected in some way. We have to go on a little tangent for a second, but I'll come back to your reading. When we're pure soul energy, when we are pure energy of light and love, and we're not in a physical body, we feel this truth of connection, that we're all touching each other, and that there is no separation because it's all one energy. But we need to come down into these separate physical bodies, and the more you're kind of in that lower, denser vibration of the ego, which needs to believe separateness in order to survive, the more we forget about the connectivity. And what's interesting is that even when the ego is separate, its actions still affect other people. Okay, so let's say you've got this selfish person or someone who's having a really bad day and they're in the checkout line and they're really dissatisfied with what's going on. There's nothing that could make them happy and they take it out on the barista or whoever is helping them. Okay, let's just say they take it out on them. Well, let's say that she was having or he was having a kind of so-so day to begin with, but that this interaction triggered an argument they had in the morning with their spouse. And maybe, they had that argument, but they were able to kind of neutralize it. But all of a sudden, this person blowing up at them triggers them back to that feeling of being frustrated and misunderstood. And now they're going to be spreading that energy to the rest of the people in line. So, that one person who kicked this off was very much in his or her own world, just angry, frustrated, and wanting to vent on someone who didn't really have anything to do with the anger or frustration, but there's a ripple effect anyway. And positive energy can work that way too. So when you're looking at why you're keeping yourself so scared and so small, remember that you're connected to other people. Remember that you're connected to a greater consciousness or a greater collective. So what you do just isn't about you. Even if you're unaware, it still touches other people. Okay, so sometimes that helps get you out of that feeling of me, and more into this, well, there's something bigger going on here. Because that's what this is about. How do we use our power to help the world? How do we use our power to help someone else? To make someone else's day a little better? To bring more support and confidence to someone else? It's funny, my partner used to run competitive races and he used to love actually cheering at people while he was running, because throwing positive energy at them actually amplified the positive energy coming back to him. So it was like he was giving, but he was receiving double. And then that would spur him on, and then he was also able to inspire other runners around him. So it's funny how when you do something for someone else, even if you're unaware of that, it does come back to boost you up. I know for me, I always feel better after helping someone, especially if it's unexpected. Like if you're somewhere and somebody needs directions or they need help with something and you happen to know the answer, it's the best feeling. So this is about stepping outside of yourself, getting outside of that box that is just keeping you very limited. Now, external influences, or I want to say in your case, helpful energy, Elder of Water. This is a really supportive communal energy that says to me you have at least, it's coming through as two people in your camp. One person is more extroverted and expressive. The other one is more quiet and like kind of the silent smiling type. But you know that they are on your side. These may be guides for someone, but I do feel like because we're in the personal domain with what is this, the court card, that this is someone in your world. This is someone who knows how to say the right thing, who knows how to not take sides, but how to make everyone feel heard, everyone feel valued. And in doing this, this person they believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. And they're also, interesting, I don't usually get this with this card, they're willing to call you out. And I think that this, combined with the High Priestess, because High Priestess is also watery, they may be the one delivering the message to you or saying something that makes your inner voice kind of wake up and say, wait a minute, I know better. Wait a minute, I need to be trying that. And I feel like there's actually going to be a little bit of a tough love moment where they kind of take you to task and say, hey, what are you doing here? This isn't what you started. This is not the intention you started with. And I know that you can do differently, and I know you can do better. They have a bigger view than you do. I mean, I think they're a little bit wiser in experience. I don't want to put an age on them, but it's likely not a parent. It's someone more like an aunt type that is connected to you, but not so close that you take their things like too personally. Like you know where they're coming from, and so you're more receptive to what they're trying to tell you. Because what's interesting here, two of air is hope and fear about the situation. So again, you're really wanting to keep yourself in this crazy place of limbo, in this place of pretending you don't know what to do. Um, it's almost like, I've got this cat and he's a full grown cat, and it's really funny to me because I think toddlers do the same thing. He takes up a certain amount of space, but he always tries to fit himself in the smallest space possible. Like a door opens this much, and he thinks, oh yeah, I can fit myself in there. And you're like, but you're like an 8-pound cat. You can't fit in that little space. This is what you're doing. You're this big, expansive being with a lot to offer, but you're playing it really safe and really small. And it's almost like you don't want to know what you're capable of, or you don't want to know. There's a real sense of avoiding the truth, or avoiding knowing what you really should be doing. And so if this is a relationship that we're looking at, you know what the right thing is to do, and you really don't want to do it. And you'd prefer to pretend like you don't know what to do because you're just really reluctant to take action. You're really reluctant to go to that next step. But here's some good positive news for you. This star is the highest potential. So you have a chance that, and this is a reassurance that whatever happens, whatever chips fall or whatever hits the fan, at the end, you're always going to come back healed and stronger and better for the future. The star is all of these blessings and positive energy and kind of coming back to wholeness and coming back to yourself. Not only the vitality of yourself, but the trust and the true direction of yourself. The star is really, it feels like a blessing card. So no matter if you choose to really start to listen to what your subconscious is saying and take yourself to task when you're called out, the highest potential is that you receive all of these blessings of healing, and that your sense of direction and purpose is renewed and re-embraced, because that's what you've lost a little bit here, is where am I going with all that? What does this really mean? I'm being told to draw one more card. From which deck? I've got like 4 decks on the table. Okay, we haven't looked at this particular deck today, but which card? It's actually the bottom 2. Princess of Cups and the Tower. Okay, so I think that this is a validation about a relationship breaking, or you needing to step up to a different role or a different self in the relationship. So if you have been that unempowered, kind of helpless self, you need to start taking more responsibility. This is truly challenging you to listen to your intuition, if because it's like you've known all along what's right and what's not. You've known where you've fallen short and where you haven't. There's a very clear knowing about this. And also, once you step through your limitations about this, the intuitive bump or the intuitive upgrade that you're going to get, these are kind of all of these here are very, very strong intuition cards. And so I feel like you holding down this truth about the situation has a bigger implication of you holding down your truth just kind of in general. And I can really relate to this. There are relationships that I've had a hard time letting go of because I was so afraid at the time of being alone. And I would willfully not see things or justify them or ignore them or override all of the signals I was getting from myself. And when I did finally come to come to my senses, but when I did finally follow my intuition about this, and the situation did what it needed to do, I did also find that I was so much more willing to trust my intuition about other things too, because it wasn't being held down by one thing. So you can't be like intuitive in one area and not the others. It's everything. Either you're intuitive or you're not. So this is about really not confining your intuition, not keeping yourself hidden, not keeping the truth hidden, because really this is your truth. And your truth is the key to finding peace, to finding your self-love. And I really want to say to liberating yourself, because when the Tower, because this is the Tower card here, we have the Princess of Cups on this side and the Tower. When the Tower comes up, it means that it's been in your way. Something has been in your way and it's no longer going to serve you or hold you up. And I think for a lot of us, with the North Node being in Aries and the South Node being in Libra right now, this is a collective energy that we're all dealing with. Relationships are really being tested, challenged, and put under the microscope. Because if they don't serve our real selves, our Aries, everyone has a sense of self that's very strong, whether you're in Aries or not. Okay, and the challenge is not to lose that sense of self, even in the context of a partnership, which is the domain of Libra. Now, what has happened is a lot of us have given up ourselves, given up too much of ourselves, given up our inner voice, given up our outer voice. And so now this North and South Node energy is pressuring us to really get honest, because relationships that are not built based on honesty are not based on a strong foundation, and they can't withstand the test of time. If one or both are lying, or one or both are hiding from the other and not being completely open, then there's a crack in the foundation, and eventually that relationship is going to crack. It's not going to make it. So, and underneath all of this, the kind of thought I want to leave you with is, this is the relationship you have with yourself. If you're saying to yourself, something outside of me is worth more than my relationship with my inner voice, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're dishonoring yourself. You're disrespecting yourself. There's nothing that is more important than our connection with our inner voice. This is literally, this is it. This is the essence of us. And if you have to sit on that in order to make something else last or better, or to make that relationship exist, it's never going to be something lasting or true or fulfilling. It's going to be draining, exhausting, and dangerous eventually. Before I started doing this type of work, I was in school for being an opera pianist, and I held down a lot of my truth during that time, because I was like, well, we've got to get the rehearsal going. We just need to keep going. But I held down a lot of criticism, a lot of unhelpful energy that was coming at me that made me doubt what I was doing. And then that had a physical toll of internalizing tension, and it was a mess. But the point is that because I never stood up for myself in those situations, I didn't want anything to do with that profession anymore. So here I had invested all this time, and we're talking the accumulation of leading up to 9 years, 10 years of study. But because I never was honest with the people I was working with, I just didn't want to touch that profession at all, because I was like, well, these people are going to go into this field. I don't want to be surrounded by these types of people. And the thing is maybe I made the right choice professionally, because I definitely love this more, but I still had to learn that lesson of standing up for myself and voicing when things weren't okay. When I was being mistreated, when I was being abused, I still had to learn how to stand up and say, no, that's not right. So the thing is that the sooner you can do that, the sooner you can move through that lesson, the sooner you get that sense of self back, and the easier it is. The more you put it off, the harder it is. So remember that at the end of the day, this is challenging you to look at your relationship with yourself and ask for more. Know that you deserve more. All right. Wishing you so much strength, peace, and courage on your journey with this particular situation. If you would like further spiritual guidance, please check out soulguidancewithadriana.com. Link is in the description below, or you can also reach out for a one-on-one reading. I'll see you soon.